Hey Tiki Drink and Craft Cocktail fans, this is Bourbon Bill with Bourbon Bill's Pirate Bar. Hey, this is not just a drink, it's an adventure. And before we show you how to make this Tommy Bahama classic and one of their most popular drinks, go ahead and take a moment and hit that subscribe, like, and hit that notify bell so you're the first to know when we upload new content to this channel. Hey, we'll be right back after these messages. Hey, welcome back. Now, on today's show, it's been brought to my attention that you guys really enjoy when I reverse engineer things or figure out how things are made, not necessarily just kind of follow someone else's recipe. And today we're going to do that. But before we dive into the Tommy Bahama Coconut Cloud, I want to share with you that we publish Wiki Tiki magazine. It's a bi-monthly, comes out every other month magazine, both in digital and print, and you can read it on your iPad, your mobile devices, or if you can get a print copy while they last. They tend to sell out pretty quick. So there's a link right here as to where you can go and get your copy. All right, now let's talk a little bit about Tommy Bahamas Coconut Cloud. Now, some people think this is a dessert drink. It's a great standalone drink, but we're going to talk about doing this a little differently than maybe they make it, but it comes out tasting almost identical. I think I'm pretty spot on the recipe. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is start off with our Mixology and Craft Boston Shaker set. It looks great. I have a link down in the description so you can get yours. You've seen this over the years here on Bourbon Bill's Pirate Bar, and this is our original set, and I tell you, it takes a beating and it keeps coming back for more. All right, so we're going to start off with just a couple agitator cubes. You don't need a whole lot, just 2 or 3 ice cubes just to chill things down a little bit. You don't want too much dilution in that because we want to make sure that we have all the flavor that goes into it. Now, this is a drink that really kind of packs a punch, so you got to kind of watch yourself. It goes down real easy, but it will sneak up on you, and you'll see exactly why in just a second. Today we're going to start off with the first ingredient, which we're using Manifest Vodka. My buddy Jim Webb over at Manifest Distillery right here in Jacksonville, Florida, does a great job. And we're going to take 1.5 ounces of the vodka. And we just pour that in and throw that in the mixer. Now, there's one of 2 ways you can go about this. You can get a vanilla flavored vodka. I'm using just the regular straight vodka from Manifest, but there's a little hint of vanilla that goes on in it, so you may end up using another vanilla vodka brand. You know, we don't need 45 flavors here at Bourbon Bill's Pirate Bar. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take, just for a little hint of vanilla, we're going to take half a teaspoon of vanilla extract and just dump that in. You don't need a lot. You just want a little bit of a hint. Now, if you want something just a little sweeter, you could maybe bump that up to a whole teaspoon of vanilla extract, but I wouldn't go overboard with it. All right, our next ingredient is you want that good coconut flavor to come in. It is, after all, called a coconut cloud. So our friends up in Bismarck, North Dakota at Heart River Spirits were kind enough to send down to me their coconut rum, which is great. Now there are other ones. There's Captain's, there's Mellow Boom Boom, there's some others, but I think this has just the right flavor profile for this drink. So we're going to go ahead and also put in 1.5 ounces. So if you're keeping track, we're up to 3 ounces so far, and we're not done. Okay. So the third ingredient is you want just a simple white rum, just a plain flavored white rum, and I just happen to have Matanzas Bay rum, which is distilled here in St. Augustine, Florida, a little bit to the south of us. And it's a really nice rum. You can use Bacardi, or as they say in San Juan, Bacardi. And we need 1 ounce of that. So if you're keeping track, holy moly, we're up to 4 ounces of alcohol. So again, we want you guys to be responsible. So we have one last ingredient that goes into this, and then we're going to do a little bit of wizardry on the garnish side, and we'll get to that, and I think you'll be impressed. All right, so we want to really coconut this one up, tiki this one up just a little bit. So we want just a ½ ounce of, you could use Coco Lopez, but today we're using Real Creme de Coconut, and you can see it's really gooey, and we just need a ½ ounce of that. And this is why we suggest doing this one last, because it does gum up the jigger just a little bit. And just dump that deliciousness right in there. You can see how that ooey gooey thing does to your jigger. And we'll just scoop out the rest of that with our bar spoon. All right. Now, the only thing left to remain on this is now we give this a good shake. Some of the recipes in like the Savoy cocktail guide from the 30s, some of the directions will say shake until your arms are tired. Well, if you do that, it's going to be a very long night behind the bar, but you get a sense of it. When you feel that tin, frosting down, you know that you've done just enough. So we're going to set that aside for just a minute. Now, let's talk a little bit about glasses. Now, the martini glass has evolved over time, and martini actually goes back to the 1850s, if you go back far enough. And we happen to have a 1890s martini glass here. It's a classic. It's been in my wife's family for generations. And this also doubled as a champagne saucer, except for like the coupe glass is really what they consider a champagne. But in most households they didn't have extensive glassware, so they would double up. And this was the original size of a martini in the late 1800s. Now let's fast forward a little bit to the Roaring 20s, and alcohol, even though it was prohibition, people just craved alcohol. And you can see that progression, and it kind of speaks to consumer taste. Now let's come up another 60 years to the 80s, and you're starting to see a trend here with martini glasses. So, they just keep getting bigger and bigger, and pretty soon they'll be bigger than your head. So today with this drink, it's such an elegant drink that we're going to go ahead and honor it in pure style of the 1920s. I think this will be plenty for this particular drink and for this particular glass. So we're going to put our Bourbon Bill's Pirate Bar drink mat down, and we're going to pour that out. Now you can strain it out, but if you shake it well enough, it shouldn't be necessary. And what a lovely drink that is. Okay? Now, presentation is definitely part of any cocktail recipe. And half the fun of going to a bar is actually watching your bartender make the drinks. Now, I know you can make this one at home. This one is simple. I believe in you. I know that you will love this once you try it. Okay, but we want to garnish this up just a little bit. Now, at Tommy Bahamas, they take toasted coconut. So we're going to toast our own. I just happen to have some sweetened coconut flakes here. And we're going to just take a little pinch, put it in a little dish, and get our creme brulee torch going here. And we're going to toast this up on our own. And it won't take too long to see that those coconut flakes start turning golden brown. There we go. Get a little bit of a burnt tip on there. It'll add just a little smoke and complexity to that drink. And that way it's not just white on white. It has a little bit of color to it. All right, that should be enough. Put our torch aside for safe handling. And we're going to just see a little bit of smoke coming off. And we're going to just take some of that coconut and lay right on top. And look at that gorgeous drink. And there you have it. Tommy Bahamas Coconut Cloud. Now, if you have any suggestions for drinks that we have not covered on the show, or if you've seen something you say, hey Bourbon Bill, can you kind of tell me how I might make this on my own? Put that down in the comments down, or I actually have my email address down in the description, so you can shoot me an email anytime. So, and also put in your city that you're watching this from. I appreciate that, and I love all the comments, good and bad. It just helps us make the show better. So I appreciate all those heartfelt comments, and it really encourages us to keep producing content for this channel. Check out some of our other videos on this channel, and I think you'll enjoy this one as well as several of the others. Well, I'm going to go enjoy this with Bootleg Mini, and that's all we have for today. Have a great day, and cheers.